Hello everyone, Kaiza here, back with more Path to Nowhere. Today we have a visitor from Istia, Yugu, a wandering storyteller who likes dark and suggestive story, a bit too much I will say. So prepare yourself since this video might be getting gruesome or spicy. She thought she's what? Yugu is an S-rank Endura sinner who deal magic damage. Being an Endura, naturally she can block 2 enemies. When using ultimate, Yugu doesn't consume energy, but instead she consumes a tail stack. Yugu will gain a tail stack when an allied sinner using ultimate that consumes at least 15 energy for one single use. This makes sinner with low cost energy requirement like Ying Ying and Fatur Blue will have a good synergy with Yugu since their ultimate cost is exactly 15. Tail can be stacked 5 times. The description is pretty straightforward, but there is one thing that caught my interest, and that is this wording, for one single use. I tried to figure out why they put the wording that way, and the only thing I could think of is this is probably referring to Baiyi ultimate, in which her ultimate can be used 3 times in a single ultimate. I can't really confirm it, but I'm just gonna put it out there. Yugu Mania intensify is pretty unique. At the start of battle, if a tendency outnumber other tendency and there are at least 3 of them on the field, Yugu gains an additional tag of that tendency. To put it simply, let's say if you have at least 3 arcane in your team and a Yugu, then Yugu will also be treated as an arcane. I believe Yugu will not lose her tag as an Endura since it said gains an additional tag instead of changing her tag. This effect will matter later in exclusive Crimebrand. Yugu normal attack is called Silver Tongue. It's a single target attack dealing 52 to 104% of Yugu attack within skill range. Not much to talk about on her normal attack, so let's move on. Yugu ultimate is called Gavel Thud. Yugu grant hit to all allied sinner except Yugu herself. This is a straight up buff to the party with no range limit. Sinner with hit will receive a crit rate plus 12.5 to 25% and skill damage plus 9 to 18%. As the characteristic mentioned, the ultimate will not consume energy but tail stack instead. It will consume 1 stack of tail every 3 seconds, so at maximum stack it will last for 15 seconds. But the idea is to maintain this ultimate as long as possible and not let it to fall off. And this is totally doable because even when the ultimate is still active, Yugu still can gain a tail stack. That's why picking the right sinner will be very important. I will talk about it further in the synergy section of the guide. Oh, by the way, you can activate this ultimate anytime you want, so you don't have to wait until it reaches 5 stacks. Keep in mind though, you can't turn off the ultimate once it's activated. Ultimate will end automatically when there is no more tail stack to consume, Yugu affected by control evac, or Yugu perform other action like moving. Yes, this also makes Yugu not performing normal attack during the ultimate. Visual wise, there is no indicator if a sinner has hit or not. From Yugu perspective though, when the ultimate is active, you will see this black ink under her, and when she consumes a tail stack, a red fox tail appear around her. Passive 1 is called Foxcinate. While the ultimate is active, Yugu will store 7.5 to 15% of crit damage dealt by allied sinner with hit. Every 2 seconds, the stored damage will be consumed and Yugu deal damage to enemies within 3x3 around herself equal to the stored damage consumed. If there are multiple enemies within range, then the damage will be split among them. Take a look at this example, where Ying Ying crit for 1282 damage. My Yugu passive 1 is level 7, so it will store 11.9% of the damage. Divided by 2 since there are 2 enemies within skill range, so 76 damage dealt to each enemies. Keep in mind, this damage won't be affected by any other effect. Now, what does this mean? Let's add LL into the mix. LL has the ability to increase skill damage of sinners with Manti up to 30%. Let's see if Yugu receives a skill damage buff from Manti, it will increase her passive 1 output. So Ying Ying deal 1282 and 1346 damage. As you can see, since this passive is not affected by any other effect, the damage is remain 156. As I said on previous section, Yugu can't perform normal attack during ultimate, so you can consider this passive 1 as the replacement of Yugu normal attack. However, since it's dependent on the allied sinner being able to perform a crit damage, you might want to bring a sinner or sinners which has near 100% crit rate and high crit damage bonus to maximize this passive potential and out DPS Yugu own normal attack. More info on synergy section. Passive 2 is called Befowl. When an allied sinner with hit land a critical hits, the allied sinner gains shield equal to 15 to 30% of Yugu's magic resistance. This effect lasts until the end of the battle and can be stacked up to 300% of Yugu's magic resistance. It's pretty straightforward, and sinner who consistently deal a crit damage probably will not need much heal since they will continuously gain the shield. However, there is other thing that tingling my spider sense here, and it's the wording. It is said that while the ultimate active and sinner with hit on the same sentence. And this happened also on passive 1. One time I can let it pass, 2 times I think there's something here. If you think about it, when ultimate is active then naturally you will have hit, right? Why need to mention it twice? Is there any situation where sinner won't receive hit? So I tested it by purposely swallow Ying Ying with Yao, then revive it with Duruo. Apparently now there is difference in damage between normal Ying Ying and swallowed Ying Ying. When Yugu tail stack, both is at 1. Swallowed Ying Ying deal less damage, potentially because she doesn't get the skill damage boost from hit. Now, a lot of people most likely won't notice this because, as I said in the ultimate section, there is no indicator of the sinners has hit or not. In conclusion, any sinner which enter the field after Yugu activate her ultimate won't receive hit. This seems trivial, but it could apply if your strategy involves reviving back a sinner, or that battle mechanic on 2nd anniversary where you can bring 3 substitute sinner and switch the sinner around. Yugu exclusive Crimebrand is called Word of Way. This exclusive Crimebrand is a passive. For each stack of tail, hit attribute bonus plus 3, 4.5 or 6%. If an allied sinner has the same tendency as Yugu, they receive additional attribute bonus of 3, 4.5 and 6%. This second effect is the reason why Yugu's Mania intensify exists. You want Yugus to have an additional tendency to bring more the exclusive Crimebrand potential. However, bringing 3 sinners with the same tendency makes party who want to utilize Yugu to not be very flexible. So if you don't have a decent 3rd sinner to bring, don't push yourself to bring one just to activate the second effect. When it comes to recommendation, I recommend to level this exclusive Crimebrand to level 1 only if you're a casual. The reason is because the attribute bonus given by this exclusive Crimebrand is not an addition, but multiplication. So if you think you are gonna get plus 60% crit rate, sorry for being the bearer of the bad news. Now with that understanding, assuming Yugu has 5 stack of tails, the difference between level 1 and level 3 is only plus 7.5% crit rate and plus 5.4% for skill damage. Not really worth the investment since you need to bring 3 sinner of the same tendency and 3 S-Strength Soul Stone, which is rare if you are a beginner, casual or free to play. When you want to utilize Yugu abilities, you will need sinners with the following criteria. 1. Sinner with low cost ultimate to easily maintain hit. I would say having 3 sinner with low cost ultimate will be comfortable to maintain hit. 2. Sinner who benefit from Yugu's crit rate and skill damage boost. So first, obviously it's Ying Ying. Everything about Ying Ying is just synergized very well with Yugu. Enabling Arcane Sinner skill to crit, her normal attack is considered a skill damage, low cost ultimate and has her own crit rate plus 30%. With that said, don't forget to keep using Ying Ying ultimate on cooldown even though you don't really need move her Wisteria cluster. Second is Fatur Blue. She mostly will be the main DPS in the Arcane crit team, not Ying Ying. I know, surprise right? She almost has everything Ying Ying has except that you need to put extra effort to build her crit rate. Third is Wu Huanzi. She can be a replacement for Fatur Blue if you don't have her. However, here I'm talking about function, not damage output. You know, low cost ultimate, deal core damage, ultimate can be charged twice, etc. Most of other Arcane Sinner usually consume 28 to 40 energy per ultimate. So yeah, Wu Huanzi is good in this situation. And then we have the mother or mommy of crit damage herself, Yelena. This one no need explanation. If you need a core breaker, then you have Zero and Labyrinth. Both has low cost ultimate and can do multiple core damage in short period of time. In stages like Remnant of the Depth, with so many enemies with core, you don't need to worry about running out of tail stack since Labyrinth can ultimate non-stop. Don't be discouraged if you don't have any of these sinner because they are the best synergy. As long as you bring sinner who matches with the criteria, Yugu won't be wasted. I would consider 15 to 22 cost ultimate is ideal, but slightly higher, for example 23 cost ultimate like Hestia, is still really good. Also, be careful if you are using the energy consumption minus 30% buff in Broken Frontline, because if the Sinner original cost is 21 and below, it will bring the energy cost to less than 15 energy, thus not meeting the criteria for Yugu to gain tail stack, which need to be at least 15 energy ultimate. Yugu main utilities is her ultimate, since she brings crit rate and skill damage to the entire party, so naturally you want to raise her ultimate first. Assuming you are able to maintain her ultimate, then her passive one is the only source of damage from Yugu. With the right party composition, I think this has potential to deal a decent damage, so this will be the second priority. The third priority is the passive 2. As I said, if the Ela Sinner deal a lot of crits, then it most likely needs less attention for heal because of they keep gaining the shield. Fourth priority is the normal attack. You won't use this unless Yugu ultimate is no longer active, which also means you probably mess up. Crimebrand can be set up depend on whether you want Yugu to act as a tank or support. Since Yugu doesn't consume energy, the first slot is actually very limited, so let's take a look at what our option is. First, for Broken Frontline and bosses, Yugu can use Nightmare Revelation and Oasis. Oasis is the highlight here, because it reduces the magic defense of the enemies within diamond-shaped area of the caster equal to the caster magic resistance times 12%. This synergy well with Yugu since even among Endura, her magic resistance is really high. Not to mention, the number one most synergized team with Yugu is Arcane Crit, which also deal magic damage. Second option is Depth of Restricted Area and Paradise Regain. Yugu will act as core breaker in the setup with Paradise Regain. Depth of Restricted Area make Yugu immune to normal attack for the first 20 seconds of the battle. For Broken Frontline this is pretty decent, but for longer fight it will be kinda useless after that. But as I said, Yugu don't have too many options for the first slot. Either this or just use random stuff. Now for more tank and survivability. You can use Rift Palace to reduce the damage to the whole party with some mix with magic resistance reduction from Oasis. In waves of enemy situation, there is the standard in-host name plus Bulwark, so Yugu can block more enemies while taking reduced damage while doing so. For beginner, the only option that somehow still synergizes with Yugu's role is in-host names. The second slot you can fill it with any random S-rank Crimebrand if you don't have Bulwark. Don't worry about the set effect, because what you're after here is basically the HP plus 10% attributes which most of the second slot offer. Yugu is complete as Shackles 0, so I don't recommend to go further. However, if you are interested, here we go. Shackle 1, for each stack of tail Yugu consume, Yugu gains shield equal to 100% of Yugu magic resistance up to 500% for 5 seconds. While the shield is active, Yugu is immune to control effect. It's an extra shield for Yugu basically. Not bad, but it will be nicer if the party also receive it like passive 2, which is going to reduce the need of healer even further. The second effect also kinda niche. We do have a couple of bosses that like to stun or freeze the party, like Zoya, that dragon from Dragon and Isle of Sky, or the Stingray from LL event, but this is easily nullified by Mr. Fox. Shackle 3, when an ally sinner with hit and the same tendency with Yugu lands a critical hit, restore 1 energy. This effect has 3 second cooldown, so basically tuning 0 with land a critical hit requirement. It also requires the sinner to has the same tendency as Yugu, meaning you have to bring 3 sinner with the same tendency to the party. Not very flexible and clearly made only for Arcane Crit team. Shackle 4, Yugu start with 3 stack of tail, which is pretty nice. The second effect is for every 45 energy cumulative consumed by allied sinners, Yugu gain additional stack of tail. As casual, if your aim is just to maintain hit, I think this is potentially overkill since unless the fight doesn't has enemies with core, maintaining her stack is not that difficult. However, if your aim is to maintain 5 stack of tails, then I can see this could help. The remaining shackle is just a straight up magic resistance plus 10%, which is somewhat useful to increase the shield efficiency on passive 2 and magic resistance reduction if you are using Oasis Crimebrand. With that, we are at the end of the video. Hopefully you find it useful. Meanwhile, I'm gonna go back and read this book, so I will see you on the next video. Bye bye. Now they did what? Hey, do you like the video? Then please consider like, comment and subscribe. I also stream Path to Nowhere and other gacha game like Reverse 1999 and Heaven's Burn Red. So if you want to enjoy gacha game with good story, so why not join me? I will see you there. Bye bye.